It is night, and you are here again. The traveler returns, as they always return, to the dark, to the quiet, to the place between the world you know and the world that is waiting. Lost Worlds for Sleep opens a door tonight. And this door is different from all the others. It is older, much older. The wood is smooth beneath your hand, worn by 10,000 years of touch. It smells of something ancient, something that has no name in any modern language. Sand and heat stored in stone, and the river, always the river. That particular smell of water moving slowly through the dark, through the reeds, through the papyrus, through the 10,000 years of everything that has ever happened. On its banks, you know this smell. You have always known it. Something in you recognizes it from before memory, from before language, from the part of you that is older than you know, beyond the door. A city is breathing. Not the frantic breathing of a modern city, not the shallow, anxious breathing of a world in a hurry. The deep, slow, ancient breathing of a civilization that has been here for 3,000 years and knows with absolute certainty that it will be here for 3,000 more. There is no rush here. There has never been any rush here. Egypt does not rush. Egypt waits. Egypt endures. Egypt outlasts everything. Tonight, you are going to Egypt, not the Egypt of museums, not the Egypt of textbooks, not the Egypt of broken stones and faded photographs and tourists in the heat. The real Egypt, the living Egypt, the Egypt that existed at the absolute height of its glory, when its temples were new and their colors blazed in the sun, when its pharaoh was a god, walking among mortals, when its priests kept secrets that the world has been trying to recover ever since. The year is 1250 BC. The pharaoh is Ramesses II. Ramesses the Great, the most powerful man who has ever lived. His empire stretches from the dark forests of the north to the burning sands of the south, from the great sea in the west to the edge of the known world in the east. And at the center of all of it is this river, this city, this night. We are in Thebes, the city the Egyptians called Waset, the city the gods chose above all other cities to be the heart of their world, a city of temples so vast that people who saw them for the first time fell to their knees and wept, not from sadness, from awe, from the overwhelming, undeniable sense that something here is bigger than human. Something here has been touched by something divine. Close your eyes. Take a slow breath in. Feel the warmth of that ancient door beneath your hand. The heat of 1,000 Egyptian summers stored in the wood, given back to you now in this moment as a gift. Push it open slowly. The warm night air moves over you like a hand, like a welcome, like something that has been waiting a very long time for you specifically. The stars above Egypt are extraordinary. The Egyptians knew every one of them by name. They mapped them on the ceilings of their temples, on the walls of their tombs. They believed the stars were the souls of the dead, watching over the living from above. Every soul that had ever lived was up there, somewhere, looking down. You look up, and the stars look back, as they always have, as they always will. The Nile moves nearby. You can hear it. That slow, ancient sound of the greatest river in the world, moving through the greatest darkness it has ever known. The night Egypt is waiting. And the night has only just begun. Walk with me. You are standing at the edge of the world, or so it feels. The ground beneath your feet is soft, dark earth, rich and damp. The earth that the Nile leaves behind every year. When it retreats after the flood. The Egyptians call it the Black Land. Kemet, this narrow strip of dark, living earth. On either side of the river, beyond it, the Red Land begins. The desert, the dunes, the silence that has no end. The place where nothing lives and nothing grows, and the sun beats down without mercy on the bones of those foolish enough to wander too far from the water. But here is life. Everything that matters, everything that has ever mattered in Egypt is here on this strip of dark earth beside this river. The Nile is in front of you, and it is extraordinary. Even at night, even in the dark, you can feel its presence before you can see it. The air changes near the river. It becomes cooler, heavier, filled with the smell of water and reeds, and the particular richness of a river that has been here for 10,000 years. You step closer, the reeds part around you, tall and pale in the moonlight, their tips brushing your arms as you pass. And then you see it. The river, wide and dark and impossibly still. A mirror reflecting the sky above. Stars doubled. Moon doubled. The whole universe folded in half and laid at your feet. You stand at the edge and look down into that reflected sky. And for a moment you cannot tell which is the real sky and which is the reflection, which is above and which is below, which is the world and which is the dream. The Egyptians understood this feeling. They built their entire civilization around it. The idea that the world above and the world below are mirrors of each other. That what happens in the sky is reflected on the earth. That the Nile is the reflection of the Milky Way. That the temples are the reflection of the stars. That everything visible is the shadow of something invisible. something greater, something eternal. A bird calls from somewhere in the reeds. A heron, its voice low and ancient, like something that has been calling since before memory. The Egyptians consider the heron sacred. They call it the Bennu, the bird of the sun god Ra, the creature that was there at the beginning of all things, standing on the first stone that rose from the primordial waters when the world was created. You listen to it call once, and then silence. Just the river and the stars and the sound of the water moving slowly, without urgency, the way the Nile has always moved, the way it will always move, long after everything else is gone. A boat passes, silently. A small wooden vessel, its single sail barely filled by the night breeze. A figure at the oar, moving slowly, without hurry, going somewhere or coming from somewhere, or simply moving on the river at night. The river at night belongs to those who know how to be quiet, quiet enough to deserve it. And this boatman knows, has always known, the way all river people know. In their bones and their blood, you watch it pass until it disappears around a slow bend in the river, into the dark, into the Egypt that exists beyond sight, beyond knowing. On the far bank of the river, you can see the shapes of the temples, dark against the darker sky, enormous, impossible. their pylons rising like mountains from the flat earth, their columns so tall that the people who built them must have believed they were holding up the sky itself. Must have believed that without these stones, without this act of impossible human will, the heavens would fall. Perhaps they were right. Perhaps they are still holding it up, even now. Even after 3,000 years, you sit on the bank, the earth cool beneath you, the river moving at your feet, the stars above, and the temples across the water, dark and patient, and waiting. Let your breathing slow. Let the sound of the river enter you. That slow, ancient rhythm that has been here long before you and will be here long after. Let it carry you the way the river carries everything, gently, without effort, without asking anything in return, just the current and the dark and Egypt all around you. Walk with me. You leave the river behind. Slowly, with reluctance, the way you always leave something beautiful that you know you will return to. The earth beneath your feet changes from soft, dark soil to something harder, stone, flat and wide and ancient, a processional avenue stretching ahead of you into the dark, and on either side of it, the sphinxes, row after row after row, ram-headed sphinxes, each one the size of a small house, each one carved from a single block of stone, each one sitting in perfect stillness as they have sat for 1,000 years. You walk between them slowly, feeling their presence on either side, like something alive, like something watching, like the particular feeling you get when you enter a very old building and realize that the stones remember everything that has ever happened within them. Every prayer, every procession, every cry of grief, every shout of celebration, every whispered secret. The sphinxes remember. They do not speak, but they remember. And ahead of you, the temple, Karnak, the largest religious building ever constructed by human hands in the history of the world. You have seen large buildings before. You think you know what large means. You do not. Not until you stand before Karnak. Not until you look up at its first pylon. That vast wall of stone, rising 40 meters into the night sky. Wider than a city block, covered from base to summit in carvings, in hieroglyphs, in images of gods and pharaohs, and battles and offerings. Every centimeter of stone speaking, telling a story. The story of Egypt, the story of the gods, the story of everything. In the moonlight, the carvings cast shadows, deep and sharp, so that the figures seem almost to move, almost to breathe, almost to step forward from the stone into the night air and walk among the living as they once walked when these walls were new and the paint that covered them blazed in every color imaginable: red and gold and and the deep blue of lapis lazuli, and the green of new growth, and the white of the moon, all of it alive, all of it speaking, all of it saying the same thing in the language that has no words. Only stone and time and the particular silence of something that has outlasted everything that tried to destroy it. You pass through the first pylon into the outer courtyard. The space is enormous, open to the sky, the stars visible above, framed by the walls of the temple, like a painting, like something deliberate, as if the architects designed this space not just as a room, but as a window between the earth and the sky, between the human and the divine, between what is known and what can only be felt. Columns rise around you, taller than you can quite believe. Their capitals carved in the shape of lotus flowers, open, reaching toward the sky, as the lotus always reaches toward the light, toward whatever is above, toward the source of all things. The Egyptians chose the lotus as their sacred flower because it rises from the mud of the Nile every morning and opens toward the sun, then closes at night and sinks back into the water, only to rise again the next day. A perfect symbol of resurrection, of the eternal cycle of death and rebirth that they believed governed everything in the universe. Every sunrise, every death, every new beginning. You reach out and touch one of the columns. The stone is cool beneath your hand, smooth, worn by 1,000 years of hands, just like yours. reaching out to touch something that has lasted when everything else has gone. A lamp burns somewhere deep in the temple. A single point of light, visible through the columns, through the doorways, through the layers of stone. The priests keep a light burning, always, day and night, without interruption, without end, because the god must never be left in darkness, because the light is a promise that someone is here, watching, paying attention, remembering. You walk deeper into the temple, past the second pylon, into the hypostyle hall. And you stop because the hypostyle hall of Karnak is unlike anything else on earth. 134 columns in 16 rows. The tallest ones 24 meters high, wide enough that 5 people standing with arms outstretched could not reach around them. A forest of stone, but not cold, not dead, alive with carvings, alive with color, alive with the accumulated prayers and offerings and whispered hopes of 10 generations of Egyptians who came to this place when they needed something, when they were afraid, when they were grateful, when they had nowhere else to go. They came here to these columns, to this silence. You stand in the middle of it and look up. The columns rise above you into the darkness, their tops lost in shadow, as if they continue forever, as if they reach all the way to the stars. The moonlight enters through the high windows in long slanted beams that move slowly as the night progresses, as the moon moves across the sky, painting the columns in silver, one by one, like a slow, patient spotlight, illuminating what deserves to be seen. Let your body grow still. Let the weight of the stone enter you, not as a burden, as a gift. The weight of something that has lasted. The weight of something that has survived. The weight of something that knows with absolute certainty that it will still be here long after tonight, long after everything. You are held by Karnak as it has held everyone who has ever stood here in the dark, looking up, wondering, walk with me. There is movement in the temple, quiet, deliberate, the kind of movement that has been practiced for so long that it no longer feels like movement. It feels like breath, like the temple itself is breathing. A figure appears at the far end of the hypostyle hall, moving between the columns, slowly. A priest, his head is shaved completely. His white linen robe catching the moonlight as he moves. He carries a lamp, small and steady, its flame perfectly still, as if the air itself does not dare disturb it. He does not see you, or perhaps he does, and has chosen not to acknowledge you. The priests of Karnak live by rules, rules that most people cannot imagine. They bathe 4 times a day in the sacred lake. They shave every hair from their bodies. They wear only white linen. They eat no fish, no beans, no onions, nothing that might displease the god or cloud the purity of their thoughts. They sleep in the temple. They wake in the temple. They give their entire lives to the god, willingly, completely, without reservation. You watch him move through the columns, through the shadows, through the layers of sacred space, deeper and deeper into the heart of the temple, toward the sanctuary where the god lives, where no one but the highest priests may enter. The sanctuary contains a statue of the god Amun, not a symbol, not a representation, but the god himself, his actual presence, housed in stone, breathing through the stone, speaking through the stone. To those who know how to listen, who have spent decades learning the language of silence and stillness, and the particular quality of darkness that exists only in the innermost room of a temple consecrated to a god. For 1,000 years, that darkness is different from ordinary darkness. It has weight, it has texture, it has presence. The priest disappears into that darkness, his lamp the last thing visible, a single point of gold, growing smaller and smaller until it is gone and and you are alone. In the hypostyle hall with the columns and the moonlight and the silence, but not entirely alone, because the hall is full of presence, the presence of everyone who has ever stood here, every priest, every pharaoh, every ordinary person who came to this place with a question or a grief or a gratitude too large for ordinary words. Another priest appears from a side corridor, this one older, his face deeply lined, his eyes calm, the particular calm of someone who has spent a lifetime in the presence of something larger than himself and has made peace with it. He carries a small jar sealed with wax, moving toward one of the side chapels, an offering. Oil, perhaps, or perfume, or one of the sacred substances whose names and uses only the priests know. The priests of Egypt carry knowledge that the rest of the world does not have. Knowledge of the stars and their movements, knowledge of the body and its ailments, knowledge of the floods and the seasons, and the particular mathematics of a universe that runs on numbers and proportions and sacred ratios that the gods built into the fabric of reality at the moment of creation. They carry this knowledge carefully, the way you carry water in a dry land, knowing that if you spill it, it is gone. He passes close to you, so close you could reach out and touch his robe. He does not look at you. His eyes are focused on something you cannot see, something ahead of him, something that requires his complete attention, his complete presence. You watch him go into the chapel, into the dark, into whatever ritual is performed here in the middle of the night when the city sleeps and only the priests are awake, keeping the world turning. One prayer at a time, one offering at a time, one flame kept burning against the dark. You find a place to sit at the base of one of the great columns, the stone cool and solid behind you. You lean back against it and feel its weight, its permanence, its absolute refusal to be anything other than what it is: stone and time and silence and the slow, patient accumulation of everything that has ever been felt in this place. Let your eyes close just for a moment. Let the darkness behind your eyes match the darkness of the temple. Let the silence enter you the way it enters this space, completely, without asking permission, without announcing itself. Just silence, filling every corner, every breath, every thought that tries to form and dissolves before it can become anything. The priests move through the temple around you, their footsteps barely audible, their prayers barely whispered, just the faintest sound of human devotion in the dark, keeping the world exactly as it should be. Walk with me. You leave the temple behind. Its silence, its columns, its priests moving in the dark. You carry something of it with you, the way you always carry something of a place that has moved you deeply, without warning. The night air meets you, warm and soft, after the cool stone of the temple. It feels like a hand opening after a long time closed. You walk north along a wide avenue, the city quiet around you. Most of Thebes is asleep, but not all. Never all. A city this large never completely sleeps. There is always someone awake, always a lamp burning, always a life continuing. In the dark, the avenue leads you to a high wall, mud brick, smooth and pale in the moonlight, stretching in both directions. Further than you can see, the palace wall. Behind it, the palace of Rameses the Great, the most powerful man in the world. A gate stands open, flanked by 2 guards, their spears upright, their eyes forward, their faces still, as the faces of guards have always been still. In every city, in every century, you pass between them. They do not stop you. They do not speak. Perhaps they cannot see you. Perhaps tonight you are something other than visible, something that moves between the seen and the unseen, between the waking and the dreaming. And then you smell it before you see it. The garden, an extraordinary smell. Water first, the smell of irrigation channels running through dark soil, keeping everything alive. And then flowers, the deep, heavy scent of lotus blossoms, open in the night. Their perfume so strong, it is almost visible, almost a color, almost a sound, and beneath that, Persea trees and sycamore figs, and the particular green smell of things growing. In the dark, without needing the sun, simply growing. Because that is what they do. You step into the garden and stop, because it is extraordinary. A formal garden laid out with mathematical precision, paths of white gravel gleaming in the moonlight, lined with trees planted at exact intervals, their trunks whitewashed, their branches spreading overhead, creating a canopy of leaves and moonlight and shadow, rectangular pools set into the ground at regular intervals, their surfaces dark and still, reflecting the stars, filled with lotus flowers, their white petals open, even now, even at midnight, even without the sun, because the lotus opens. For the moon too, you walk slowly along the gravel path, your footsteps soft, the gravel cool beneath your feet, the trees moving gently in a breeze you can barely feel, but they can. They are more sensitive than you. to the movements of the air, to the changes in the night, to everything that passes without being named. A cat crosses the path ahead of you, slowly, without hurry. A palace cat, sleek and well fed, it stops and looks at you, its eyes catching the moonlight. Two small moons, looking back. The Egyptians worship cats. They consider them sacred to the goddess Bastet, protector of the home, guardian of women and children. To harm a cat, even accidentally, is a crime punishable by death. This cat knows this. You can tell by the particular unhurried confidence with which it regards you, and then turns away and continues on its path, as if you were of mild interest, but not enough to interrupt the night's business. You find a stone bench beside one of the lotus pools and sit. The water is perfectly still. The lotus flowers open around you, their perfume extraordinary. Up close, sweet and deep and ancient, the smell of Egypt, the smell of the sacred, the smell of something that has been here since before you were born and will be here long after. Above you, the stars are extraordinary, framed by the branches of the trees, like a painting, like something deliberate, like someone arranged the branches specifically to frame this particular view of this particular sky. For you, tonight, let your breathing slow. Let the smell of the lotus enter you all the way in, all the way down, into into the places that are usually closed, usually defended, usually held tight against whatever the day has brought, but not here, not in this garden, not beside this pool, not under these stars. Here everything opens like the lotus, without effort, without trying, simply because the conditions are right, simply because the night is warm and the water is still, and something ancient and patient is holding you gently, without asking anything in return. Walk with me. You leave the garden slowly, the lotus perfume following you. For a few steps, and then fading, the way all beautiful things fade when you move away from them, but leave something behind, something you cannot quite name, something that stays in the body long after the smell is gone. You walk east toward the river, toward the part of the city that never fully sleeps, the market district. Even now, in the deepest hours of the night, there is activity here, low and purposeful, the activity of people preparing for the day. Before the day begins, boats have arrived from upriver and down, tied to the docks in the dark, their cargo being unloaded by lamplight, by the light of the moon, by the particular efficiency of people who have done this 1,000 times before. You watch a man carry an enormous jar on his shoulder from a boat to the dock, his steps steady, his balance perfect. the jar taller than his head, sealed with clay, full of something precious, oil perhaps, or wine from the delta, or grain from the fields that feed this great city every single day. The market itself is beginning to wake, slowly, like a large animal stirring from sleep. Stalls are being set up, awnings stretched, goods arranged with care, with the particular attention of someone who knows that how you present something determines what it is worth. A woman arranges fruit on a low table. Figs, dark and ripe. Dates, pomegranates, their skin the deep red of something that has absorbed all the warmth of the Egyptian sun. She works quickly, without looking up, her hands knowing exactly where each fruit should go. The geometry of abundance, practiced so many times, it has become instinct. Nearby, a man tends a small fire, heating a clay pot. The smell of something cooking, drifting into the night air. Lentils, perhaps, with cumin and coriander. The smell of a meal being prepared for the workers who will need feeding before the day begins. You follow the smell, the way you always follow the smell of food, the way all human beings follow it, because it means warmth and nourishment and the presence of other people doing what people have always done, taking care of each other in small, practical ways. The man at the fire looks up as you approach, his face weathered, his eyes kind. He gestures toward the fire. An invitation, simple and complete. You sit nearby, the warmth of the fire reaching you. Even in the warm Egyptian night, there is something about fire that always draws the body closer, something older than reason, something that says, here is safety, here is warmth, here is the center around which everything else organizes itself. The market fills slowly, more figures emerging from the dark, carrying things, setting up things, exchanging quiet words in the particular low voice that people use before the day has fully begun, before the world is ready for full volume. A merchant arrives with bolts of linen, white and fine, the finest linen in the world, made from the flax that grows along the Nile, woven so fine you can read through it like a page of papyrus. He drapes a length over his arm to show its quality. Even now, even in the half-dark, even with no customers yet, he is already selling, already presenting, already being exactly what he is. Merchant in the greatest market, in the greatest city in the world. You watch it all from your place by the fire, the slow, patient preparation of a day that has not yet begun. The laying out of abundance in the dark. before the light comes to show it off. There is something deeply comforting about this, about the knowledge that while you sleep, the world is preparing for you. That somewhere, someone is always awake, tending the fire, arranging the fruit, unloading the boats, making sure that when you wake, everything will be ready. Everything will be in its place. Everything will be as it should be. Let that knowledge enter you now. Let it settle into the quiet places, into the places that worry and plan and cannot stop running through tomorrow and the day after and all the days that have not happened yet. You do not need to prepare tonight. Someone else is doing it, has always been doing it, will always be doing it. While you rest, while you sleep, while you let go of everything that does not need to be held. Tonight, walk with me. You leave the market behind. Its fires, its quiet industry, its smell of food and linen and the river, and you walk back toward the temple, but not inside it. Not this time. This time you go around it, along the outside wall, following a path that leads you to something you have not seen yet, something that exists just beyond the temple, just outside its walls, and yet entirely part of it. The sacred lake. You hear it before you see it, or rather, you feel it. A change in the air, a coolness, a particular quality of stillness that only exists near a large body of water. At night, when everything is quiet, and then you see it, the sacred lake of Karnak, a vast rectangular pool cut from the earth by human hands centuries ago, its edges lined with stone, perfectly straight, perfectly level, its surface perfectly still. The moon is reflected in it perfectly, completely, without distortion, as if the lake was made for exactly this purpose, to hold the moon when the moon needs somewhere to rest. You stand at the edge and look down. The reflected moon looks back from the water below. Two moons, one above, one below, both equally real, both equally present, both watching you from their different worlds. The sacred lake is used by the priests for purification. They bathe here before entering the temple, before approaching the god, before performing any ritual. The water of the sacred lake is not ordinary water. It represents the primordial waters, the waters that existed before the world was created, before there was light, before there was land, before there was anything except water and darkness and the potential for everything to bathe in it is to return to the beginning, to wash away everything that has accumulated since the last time you were clean, everything that clings and weighs and dims the original brightness of what you are. Underneath everything else, you sit at the edge of the lake and remove your sandals and lower your feet into the water. It is cool, surprisingly cool. After the warmth of the Egyptian night, it sends a slow current up through your feet, through your legs, into your body. Something releasing, something letting go that you did not know you were holding. The water moves slightly around your feet, responding to your presence, accepting you the way water always accepts whatever enters it, without judgment, without conditions, without asking who you are or where you have been or what you have done or left undone. Just water and the body in it, and the slow ancient work of becoming clean. Geese sleep on the far bank, gathered together, their heads tucked under their wings. Sacred geese, kept here by the priests for the god Amun. They are believed to carry the voice of the god when they call at dawn. Their cry is the first sound of the new day, the sound of the world beginning again. As it begins every morning without fail, without exception, without ever being too tired or too discouraged or too uncertain to begin. But they are silent now, asleep now, their voices resting for the dawn that is still hours away. The lake holds everything: the moon, the stars, the reflection of the temple walls, dark and vast. In the water, the sleeping geese, the night sky, your own reflection looking back at you from below, softer than you usually look, more uncertain at the edges, more willing to dissolve into the water, into the dark, into whatever comes next. Let your feet rest in the water. Let the cool move through you. Let the lake do what lakes have always done for those who come to them at night with tired minds and heavy hearts, and the particular exhaustion of being fully human in a world that asks so much. Let it take that from you gently, without drama, the way water takes everything. Eventually, given enough time, you are beside the sacred lake of Karnak in ancient Thebes, in the Egypt of Rameses the Great, and the water is cool, and the moon is full, and the geese are sleeping. And somewhere behind you, the priests are praying. And somewhere ahead of you, the dawn is coming. But not yet. Not for a long time yet. Walk with me. You leave the sacred lake behind. Its stillness, its reflected moon, its sleeping geese, and you walk west, away from the river, away from the city, toward the desert, toward the cliffs that rise on the western bank, dark and vast, against the stars. The Egyptians believe that the West is the land of the dead, the place where the sun sets, is the place where life ends. And so they built their tombs on the western bank, in the cliffs, in the rock, in the deep places where the dead could rest, close to the setting sun, close to Ra on his nightly journey through the underworld. You cross the Nile on a small wooden boat, the water dark and still beneath you, the current gentle, carrying you west, as it carries everything west. Eventually, the far bank is different, quieter, emptier, the city left behind. On the other side of the water, here there are only the cliffs and the desert and the path that winds upward through the rocks toward the valley. You follow it. The path is worn smooth by the feet of workers who have walked it every day for generations, carrying tools and water and the particular determination of people building something that will outlast them by 3,000 years. The desert at night is extraordinary. You expected cold, but it is not cold. Not yet. The rock has stored the heat of the day, the way all stone stores heat, and releases it slowly in the night. Like a gift, like the stone giving back what the sun gave it. The stars here are different, brighter, more present, away from the city, from the torches, the sky opens completely, enormous and intimate. At the same time, the way the desert sky always is. You feel small beneath it, but not insignificant. Small in the way that feels like freedom, like relief, like the particular joy of being reminded that you are not the center of everything. And then you arrive at the valley of the kings, a natural amphitheater cut from the limestone cliffs by wind and time, and the patient work of 1,000 years. The cliffs rise on all sides, pale and vast. In the moonlight, like walls, like the walls of something sacred, deliberately hidden from the world outside. Cut into these cliffs are the tombs. The entrances barely visible in the dark. Just the suggestion of openings in the pale rock leading down into the earth, into the dark, into chambers painted from floor to ceiling with every color that the Egyptian world could imagine. The Book of the Dead painted on the walls, the journey of the soul through the 12 hours of night, through the underworld, toward the dawn, toward resurrection, toward the new day that waits on the other side of every darkness. You stand at the entrance of one of the tombs and look down into the dark below. You do not go in. This is not a place for the living. Not tonight. But you stand at the threshold and feel what the threshold always makes you feel. The presence of something beyond the visible. The presence of time, accumulated and patient, waiting in the dark below. The presence of all those who came here and did not return, and the presence of something else, something harder to name. The knowledge that death is not the end. The Egyptians knew this with absolute certainty. They did not hope it. They did not believe it. They knew it. The way you know that the sun will rise because it always has, because it always will, because the universe does not waste anything. Not light, not water, not a single soul that has ever lived and loved and walked beneath these stars. You sit on a rock at the entrance to the valley and look up. The stars above the Valley of the Kings are extraordinary, framed by the pale cliffs like a painting, like something deliberate. The Milky Way, visible. From one edge of the valley to the other, the river of stars that the Egyptians believe is the Nile of the sky, the path that the dead travel after they leave this world on their way to the stars. You look at it for a long time. That river of light moving silently overhead, carrying everything that has ever been toward whatever comes next. Let your body grow heavy. Let the rock beneath you hold your weight. Let the desert silence enter you completely. This silence is different from any other silence. It is the silence of eternity, of something that has been here since before human beings and will be here long after. A silence that holds everything that has ever happened. In this valley, and asks nothing. In return, accept that you be quiet enough to hear it. You are quiet enough. Tonight, you are. Walk with me. Something has changed. You feel it before you see it. Before there is any evidence at all. Just a feeling, a shift in the quality of the dark of midnight is different from the dark of this hour. This hour has a different weight, a different texture, a different quality of silence, as if the night itself knows that it is almost finished and is gathering itself for the last time before it lets go. You rise from the edge of the sacred lake slowly, your feet still cool from the water, the ground warm beneath them. The contrast extraordinary, cool and warm, water and earth, night and the first whisper of morning, all of it present, all of it alive, all of it yours. In this moment, you walk without destination, without purpose, just moving through the city, the way you have moved through it all night, with attention, with gratitude, with the particular awareness that comes when you know something is ending and you want to hold it as long as you can, without grasping, without desperation, just presence, just attention. The streets of Thebes are almost empty. The last figures have gone home. The last lamps have burned out. Almost. Not quite. There is always one lamp still burning in every city, in every century, in every part of the world. Someone always awake, someone always keeping the light against the dark. You find yourself walking toward the river again, as you always return to the river. As everyone always returns to the thing that sustains them, eventually, when the night is deep enough and the mind is quiet enough to know where it needs to go. The Nile at this hour is different from the Nile at midnight. Everything is different. At this hour, the water seems darker, more still, more concentrated, as if the river too is gathering itself for the day ahead, for the boats that will come, and the fishermen, and the children swimming, and the women washing linen on the banks. All of that still to come, but not yet. Not here, not now. Now there is only the river and the stars and the last of the night. The first bird calls. A single note, high and clear, from somewhere in the reeds, the Egyptians say that the first bird to call at dawn is the voice of the sun god Ra, announcing his return from the underworld, where he travels every night through the 12 hours of darkness, fighting the serpent Apep, the great enemy of light, who tries every night to swallow the sun. And every night, Ra defeats him. Every single night, without exception, without failure, without ever being too tired to fight one more time for the light. The bird calls again, and then another answers from further away, and then another. The dawn chorus beginning. One voice at a time, the way all great things begin. One voice at a time. One note at a time, until the air is full of it, until the whole world is singing. The sky above the eastern desert has changed. The deepest black of midnight has softened into something that is not quite black, not yet blue, something that exists only in this hour, only in this precise window of time between the end of night and the beginning of morning. The Egyptians call this hour the hour of Ra's victory, the moment when it becomes certain that the sun will rise, that the light will return, that the world will continue for another day, as it has continued for every day since the beginning. The stars are fading now. The ones nearest the horizon first, then gradually the others, withdrawing as they always withdraw when the light returns. not gone, never gone, still there behind the blue, still burning, still present, just waiting, as they always wait, for the dark to return, for their moment to come again. You stand at the edge of the Nile and watch the sky change from black to the color of something beginning that particular blue that exists only here, only now, only in this moment, that will never come again. Exactly like this. Exactly as it is, the river reflects it. As the river reflects everything, faithfully, without distortion, without interpretation, just the truth of what is above, shown in what is below. The temples across the water are emerging from the darkness, slowly, the way all things emerge from darkness. When the time is right, their pylons catching the first light. Still gray, still cool, but lit, finally lit. After the long night, let your breathing slow. Let the changing sky enter you. That slow movement from dark to light, from night to morning, from the end of one thing to the beginning of another. You are almost there, almost at the place where the night releases you, where sleep opens its arms and takes you in, where Egypt becomes something else, something that will stay with you long after the night is over, long after morning comes. Walk with me One last time, walk with me. The city is waking, but you are not. Not yet. Not quite. There is a moment that exists only here, only in this city, only in this last breath of night, when Egypt is both things at once, asleep and waking, ending and beginning, ancient and eternal, gone and here, completely, impossibly here. You are standing at the edge of the Nile in the last hour of the Egyptian night, and something is happening, something quiet, something that has no name. The way the most important things never have names. Egypt is entering you, not dramatically, not suddenly. The way all the best things enter slowly, without announcement, through the breath, through the skin, through the soles of your feet, on the dark earth of the Nile, through the smell of lotus, still in your memory, from the garden, through the cool of the sacred lake, still on your feet, through the silence of the temple, still in your body, the river, the temple, the priests in the dark, the garden and its lotus pools, the market waking before dawn, the sacred lake holding the moon. All of it is inside you now. All of it is yours, not as a memory, not as a dream, as something more permanent than either, something that will still be there. When you wake tomorrow, in the quiet moment, between sleep and consciousness, when the world is still soft, and you will whisper without knowing why. Last night, I was actually there. The birds are singing now. All of them. The sound of life insisting on itself, as it always insists, as it has always insisted since the first morning, since Ra first defeated the darkness and brought the light back to a world that needed it. The sky is the color of something beginning. That deep blue, softening at the edges, giving way as darkness always gives way. When it has done all that darkness can do, and the light is ready, but you are not looking at the sky anymore. Your eyes are heavy. The good heavy. The heavy that comes after a night fully lived, after a river sat beside, and a temple walked through, and a garden breathed in, and a sacred lake rested at. The heavy of a body that has been fully, completely alive. Let your eyes close. Let them close now. There is nothing left to see. Not because there is nothing beautiful. There is everything beautiful. But because you have seen enough, more than enough, you have seen Egypt at its most alive, at its most itself, at the precise moment when it was most worth seeing. The Nile moves at your feet, as it has always moved, as it will always move, long after you, long after everything. Let that movement enter your breath, in and out, out. The rhythm of the river, the rhythm of breath, the rhythm of sleep, coming now, slowly, gently, the way sleep always comes to those who are ready. The temples stand across the water, as they have always stood, patient, enormous, saying nothing but holding everything. The stars are almost gone, just the last few, holding on at the top of the sky, where the dark lasts longest. They watched over Egypt all night, as they always watch. And now they are going into the blue, into the light. Let yourself go there too, into the blue, into the light, into the place where the night keeps you safe and warm and held, while the world turns, while the morning comes, while Egypt breathes its eternal, patient, ancient breath. Egypt is not gone. Not tonight. Not for you. Not ever. Not while someone is walking its banks. In the hours when the world is quiet. Not while someone is sitting beside its sacred lake, breathing its lotus air, watching its temples, listening to its river. Egypt lives in the only place that anything truly lives, in the minds of those who pay attention, in the hearts of those who care enough to walk its banks at midnight and stay until the dawn. You stayed. You were here. and Egypt will remember you. Sleep now, traveler. Sleep. The night has given you everything it has. The river is still moving. The temples are still standing. The stars are almost gone. And somewhere in the deep, warm, dark, of the night that is ending, a door is opening. Your door, the one that leads not to any river, not to any temple, not to any world, but to the place inside you, where everything is possible, where everything is safe, where everything is simply still. Go through it. Go through it now. We will be here when you wake. Lost worlds for sleep will always be here. Every night, a new door opens. Tonight, it opened onto Egypt. Tomorrow night, who knows where it will lead? Sleep well, traveler. You were actually there.